Greetings, salutations, Eddie here. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about the fact that there's a truck driving by my house. We're going to be telling you guys about my sort of a January TBR kind of thing. What's on my reading list for January, and I only have 4 books with me because one of them is going to take me a little bit, and the other ones are probably like fast reads. So anyways, I only have 4 books on this list, and I may do sort of a wrap up at the end of January or beginning of February. I don't know. But anyways, let's get right into it. So I have Hidden Oracle, the first book of the Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. This is the 4th or 5th Percy Jackson related series. This follows the god Apollo, who is cast as immortal because of something that he did, and Zeus is angry with him, so he cast him out to be immortal with the name Lester Papadopoulos, and he's trying to get his way back to becoming the god with the help of, what's her name? Meg. And Percy Jackson, of course. And he has to go to Camp Half-Blood. And so it's kind of I'm a little bit in, obviously, and it's just nostalgic. As soon as I started reading it, I was back to when I read The Lightning Thief for the first time. It was just so much fun to read The Lightning Thief, and I'm having so much fun reading from a god's point of view, Apollo. And I'm really looking forward to finishing the series. I'm also really scared because I don't want the Percy Jackson world to end. So there's this. The way that he writes is very, you can get through the series probably in like a month or something like that. So next, I'm halfway through The Young Elites by Marie Lu. And I'm going to be honest, I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting into the book. So like I'm almost, maybe a little less than halfway, but I'm halfway through regardless. So basically this is set in a world where there was this disease that sort of swept through the nation, or through the country, leaving people, mostly children, with like permanent scarring, and they gained abilities. I'll just read the back real quick. A decade ago, a deadly blood fever swept through the nation. Most of the Quinn, don't even think it. Sorry, my cat is... I've never met a cat as curious as my cat, Quinn. A decade ago, a deadly blood fever swept through the nation. Most of the infected perished, but some survivors were left with strange markings, rumored to signify powerful gifts for those who possessed them. Though their identities remain secret, this group of survivors has come to be called the Young Elites. This is a fantasy, and this is Marie Lu's 2nd series away from the Legend trilogy. And I am sort of enjoying it for the most part. I don't know how I feel about Adelina yet, or the other ones like Raphael and Enzo. I don't know how to feel about the characters yet. If you have read this book or series, let me know what you thought of it down below. And just be honest. If you didn't like it, just tell me. If you loved it, just tell me. But I am going to read the trilogy just to see what it's like, or just to see where it goes. But I do know what happens in the Midnight Star, which is the last book. But I don't know what happens in the Rose Society. So I'm going to get in. I'm going to, finish the book, and I may do a book review about this, or just do a whole overview about the trilogy itself. So the next one, I just got it today, and I'm really excited to get into it because it deals with Greek lore, and I just gave away the title, but that's Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This is her standalone fantasy. If you guys don't know about Alexandra Bracken, she wrote the Darkest Minds trilogy. She wrote a book before called Brightly Woven. I don't know. I think it's called Brightly Woven, which is, I believe, her debut novel. Then the Darkest Minds trilogy really put her on the map. And then, or I guess series now, since it continued to 4 books. The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding, and we now have Lore, which is probably one of my most anticipated books of 2020. So this is, I'll just read the jacket real quick. Every 7 years, the Agon, I believe is how you say it, begins. As punishment for a past rebellion, 9 Greek gods are forced to walk the earth as mortals. They are hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines, all eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. Long ago, Lore fled that brutal world, turning her back on the hunt's promises of eternal glory after her family was murdered by a rival line. For years, she's pushed away any thought of revenge against the man, now a god responsible for their deaths. Yet, as the next hunt dawns over New York City, 2 participants seek her out. Castor, a childhood friend Lore believed to be dead, and Athena, one of the last of the original gods, now grievously wounded. The goddess offers Lore an alliance against their mutual enemy and a way to leave the Agon behind forever. But Laura's decision to rejoin the hunt, binding her fate to Athena's, will come at a deadly cost, and it may not be enough to stop the rise of a new god with the power to bring humanity to its knees. So obviously this is just going to be absolutely spectacular. It sounds great, and the tagline says, "Bind your fate to mine." I love this cover. I just think this cover is so cool, because you think that it's all white and gold, but if you look, it's like skin color there as well. I'm really excited to get into this book. It is kind of a thick-ish book, but the font is pretty big for the most part. But I'm really excited. Then the book that's going to take me a while to read, and that is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book of the Dark Artifices. I'm a little bit in. And this follows Emma Carstairs and her parabatai Julian Blackthorne and his family in the Los Angeles Institute. So there's like a string of murders between fairies and humans. And so Emma and Julian and his family are, you know, trying to uncover this. And this takes place after City of Heavenly Fire, like years after, actually years after the Immortal Instruments, because we were introduced to Emma Carstairs when I believe she was 12 in City of Heavenly Fire. Now this takes place like 5 years or something like that, to now where she's a full-blown shadow hunter. And, you know, she lives in her own institute in Los Angeles, and there's like nods back to like Clary and Jace, Alec, Isabel, Simon, Magnus, and Sebastian. And I don't want to give away any plot of City of Heavenly Fire for those who haven't read it, even though it's been years. So for the most part, I'm actually enjoying the story because the writing, of course, is spectacular as usual. As far as Emma and Julian, I think it's going to take me a little bit to sort of warm up to them, because while I do like Emma, I don't have the same love for her as I did with, like, yet, I'm saying yet, for like Will or Tessa or Clary or Jem or, you know, all those characters. But Julian, I am liking Julian. And how far am I? I'm on page 130, or 131. I think I'm liking the Los Angeles, I almost said London, the Los Angeles Institute, because Los Angeles is someplace that I really want to go to. I would love to live in Los Angeles, despite the earthquakes. Cassandra Clare's writing has sort of improved over the years. Not saying that her writing was bad, because it was never bad in my opinion, but I think that the writing has improved. And I really like the recapping of what happened previously in like the Mortal Instruments. I'm really looking forward to finishing this trilogy, because even though it looks pretty big, the way that Cassandra Clare writes, it's sort of, you can fly through it rather quickly. So I'm planning on reading this, not the trilogy in a whole month, let's not get crazy now, this trilogy in the year 2021, hoping that the story picks up and I end up loving it. A friend of mine actually read Lady Midnight, and he said that it wasn't as great as he thought he was going to be. He didn't think it was as great as he thought it was going to be, but I'm going to form my own opinions, because that's how I roll. Anyways, it's going to be what I'm reading this month video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts of any of these books that I mentioned today. And for more content, hit that subscribe button. And I forgot to tell you guys, Happy New Year's. I hope you guys are staying safe and staying healthy, and please wear your mask at all times. I'm basically doing this video because I am, by the time this goes up, I don't know if the protests at the Capitol Hill are done, but by the time this goes up, hopefully they're done, and I'm just done with everything Trump related. Deuces.